Hi, it's Dean from Real Estate Dynamics, and I've got a very special guest with me today. I've got Barney, and we happen to be at Barney's house, which is even more special. So, who is Barney, and what does Barney know?
Hi guys, Barney McGrath. Background quickly, I started out my career working for the US Department of Commerce after I did a degree in marketing. I was very good at strategy and marketing strategy, so I was employed by them to develop opportunities in Australia. About 24, I moved to the US, got a job in mainstream advertising, worked for a company called Doyle Burnback. I was in account management, and I was, again, very strong in strategic thinking. So I was what's called a strategic planner back in the early 80s. So all around marketing, looking for opportunity, understanding the dynamics of the marketplace, competitive universe, and narrowing in on the opportunity. So big background in advertising, marketing. And then on my way back to Australia, got stuck in Bali for 8 years, which is a sideline we won't even talk about. But when I got back to Australia, I was 39, and I sold a property through a very well-known brand, had a horrible result, and went to the principal of the business and said, guys, bad advice, bad marketing, bad outcome, you need some help, let me get involved in your business. Funnily, that was what started from about 96 right through till today, an absolute obsession with real estate. So in the early days, the company I went to turned around and said, well, before you do anything, you need to sell some property, because if you don't understand what our people do, how can you work for us? So I became an agent overnight, selling properties down the south coast of Sydney. And at the same, that was my weekend job. And during the week, I did a rebrand, built their website, built their operating platform, their database management system, and went on over about a 6-year period, staying employed with them. I ended up building their home loan business. I ran their sales company for a little while. And so I got really involved in the totality of the company. In about 2002, I stepped out and started consulting. And other than a 3-year period in about 09-10, where I became a principal of an office, opened 5 offices in 2 years, and really got a whole other view of the world. I have quite a long, deep experience in real estate, either as an employee or as a consultant. Funnily, because I've worn so many hats, I reckon I now understand what keeps people awake at night, principals and agents and property management companies. So yeah, kind of a mixed experience, very broad at one end, working in advertising and marketing where you're dealing with different clients every day, so you understand consumer goods, motor vehicles, technology businesses, and get a very quick ability to very quickly dismantle a business and look at the key drivers in it. And now, on top of that, I think I have a very deep experience in real estate that gives me a lot of insight into what drives and delivers outcomes for real estate. So there you go, quick background.
So on that point, do you think that real estate today is moving a lot faster or changing a lot more than it has been?
It's an interesting conversation, because a lot of people talk about disruption and talk about technology and how everything's changed.
Yeah.
I agree with you to a point. Fundamentally, branding and technology and the way we use social media and electronic marketing, database marketing, sure, it's changing quickly. But the fundamental drivers of real estate, a good business and a bad business, haven't changed a bit. It's still a people business. It's still hyper-local knowledge. It's building community engagement. It's running a team of human beings, not machines.
Not yet.
No, and I don't believe it will.
Good.
Personally.
I agree.
I think property management's probably more exposed than sales.
Yeah.
Because I don't think you can teach a robot to negotiate.
Yeah.
And I don't think you can teach a robot empathy and understanding of the true drivers of a sale.
Yep.
Property management, because it's so process driven, I think is more exposed than anything else. But to answer your original question, I think a lot of the peripheral stuff's changing, but the core fundamentals of our business are not.
And what is that core fundamental?
As I just touched on, core fundamentals for me are truly building a culture that is based on empathy, integrity, honesty, and passion / kind of energy dynamics. Surrounding yourself with like-minded human beings that are proud of where they work. Having huge and deep local market knowledge.
Yep.
Community engagement. And a joy of what you do. That for me, if you have all of those elements, you've got the makings of a great business.
And I gather you would, over the consulting that you've been doing over a number of years now, you've seen a number of businesses. Have you mainly gone into businesses that are doing well that you've improved, or?
Look, to be honest, my business has crossed all barriers. You know, on one hand, over the last 10 years, I guess we've rebranded the two largest networks in Australia. From the bottom to the top. You know, Harcourt's 3 years ago was 8 different divisions, 8 countries, about 1,000 offices, and it was everything that's got a logo on it across their home loan business, their commercial business, their rural, everything, and across 8 countries. Yep. So is that a good business doing well? I think so. And did we add value? I'd like to think so. I've also gone into businesses that are struggling. Inception business, single office, lost their way, didn't know quite how to get rubber and get traction in their market.
How do they afford you then?
Some would argue I'm expensive.
But it's a really good point, because majority of the time, I think, from how I've known you over a number of years, is you have the ability to walk in with the knowledge that you have, to ask the right sort of questions, to fairly quickly drill down to what the core problems are. And a lot of the people that need you the most may look at it of, can I afford? Look, can you afford not to, really?
That's the question.
Yeah.
I cost about $2,500 a day. It's an investment in your business. You will invest in motor vehicles, you'll invest in servers and mainstream, you'll invest in people, you know, you'll even invest in property, you know, where you reside as a business. Mm-hmm. I like to believe I deliver a multiple. I might cost you $2,500 a day, and I might be in your business for 3 months, and in that time I might cost you 30 grand, let's say. But I'll guarantee you my delivery will be 4 or 5 times that in the first year. So I'm an investment, I'm not a cost. My view. There are others out there that might argue differently, but I see us as an investment.
And so in that space, has there been, well, the first thing I think about is, what are some quick wins, or what are some of the critical ones of, say, the top 3 things that people get you in normally to try to uncover? If I can jump across first, because we had a bit of a conversation off camera, was knowing what their numbers are, knowing what their vision is, I think was one of the first things you spoke of.
Well, the problem I have is many of the companies I get involved in, and this is not meant to be disparaging, but I'll say it, most great principals are not tertiary educated. They've fallen into business because they were a great selling agent, and their accountant said to them, you know, 99, you go out and leverage a few more agents, you get to keep 40%, 50% of what they earn, you know, 50 in the good old days, probably 30% today. Bring in a property management business and you get annuity income, and the world's a beautiful thing. At the end of the day, they were a secondary school at best, and they're not great business managers. What they tend to do is look around, see the next shiny object, and jump in and start buttoning their shirt from the middle, and by the time they get to the top, they realise that they've got the wrong buttons.
Good analogy.
My greatest advice is, don't jump in and say, I need a new brand, I need a new social media presence. Start at the top. Look at where you are and where you want to be, whether that's 3 years, 5 years, 1 year, it doesn't really matter. Get a vision for what you want to be, and understand what that might look like at a divisional level.
Yep.
So, do I want to grow my sales business from, 250 sales a year to 500? Do I want to grow my rent roll from 400 to 1200?
Yep.
Do I want to open a second office? And whatever the drivers are, set that path very clearly at the start. And then absolutely. Yep. And then every decision you make today and every day going forward is that investment or is that cost getting me closer to delivering that? And that's the fundamental question. And it may well be, rebrand will get you there. It may well be, I need a new technology platform sitting under the business. It might be CRM, it could be accounting, it could be any number of things. It could be social media presence. It could be, I need more bodies. It could be, I need to do a better recruitment modelling, and I need to hang on with golden handshakes to the best people in my business, and I might have to get into succession or equity sharing models. So no two businesses are ever the same, and anyone that comes in and says all you need is a new brand is, I think, taking your money. I love doing brand work, but only when it's necessary. I'm working with a client at the moment in Victoria who came to me last week and said, I think we need a new brand. And I surprised the hell out of him because I said, actually, you don't. your brand actually looks not too bad. It's not the best, but it's delivering what you need. You need to step back up a level, and you actually need better processes and procedures, because I've looked at your margins and your numbers. You're not delivering the margins you should on the volume of business you're doing. So let's look at your cost management. Let's look at your processes and procedures. You know, it doesn't matter how much business you write, it's how much is actually in your back pocket at the end of it. So that's my first tip, is stay high. Look at your core drivers, look at your core vision. Ask yourself, what are the chunks that are going to deliver that? And then break it down into, what are the things I invest in and build that will deliver those outcomes? Don't jump into the middle first.
Which in that space, we're fundamentally often, it's a shiny toy. It's what's and one of the latest ones obviously is social media, and how are we a social media presence, and what are we doing, and how are we getting business from it. And I don't think that there are some fundamentals behind that of they're throwing money at it and wanting to be present, but yeah, you can't bank likes, and you can't bank, you know, views.
Followers and views. Yeah. I call those ego stats, by the way. Everybody's, you know, going to ARIC and going to conferences, and all their agents are pushing, saying we need social media, we need social media. And I see a lot of people jumping on, creating a Facebook page, Instagram, you know, LinkedIn and everything else. And the content is just throwing it up, and they rate their success by how many followers and how many likes they get. I look at Facebook and I go, well, hang on, there's a whole other back end which is called advertising that sits adjacent to Facebook that you can use. You can attach lots of big databases, although with Cambridge Investments, or whatever it was called, that company that rorted the US elections, it's getting a lot harder. But you can put property management new business messages onto your back of your Facebook that are well crafted, true to brand, with the right message, and target owners of property in geographic footprints. You know, I think, as most people know, targeting landlords is one of the hardest things in the world. There's no point dropping
absentee owners.
Absentee owners, hardest thing in the world to get to. Letterbox drops don't work because the tenant gets them. Advertising in the local market often doesn't work because they live out of market. Exactly. So social media now allows you to target owners of property in a physical geographic zone or a postcode, and hit them on the Facebook page with the message you want. So I think you've got to be careful. Social media works, again, if it's got clear outcomes and clear focus and drive.
So therefore, as far as when you go in, you talk about the first is a key of what it is that their outcomes, what they want to achieve. Like, where are they now? Where do they want to be?
Most crucial.
And then the next is questions of helping them to get there. And then when they come up with, because quite often most people have the answers in themselves if you ask them the right questions, that it uncovers that. But from what I gather, some of your fundamental ones are, you can ask the right sort of questions. You want to get to here, is that realistic? Have you thought about this? Some of those.
Often challenging the answers I get. It's quite interesting. I deal with a lot of, you know, principals who've been in their businesses 30, 35, 40 years. And you ask them, I don't know, what's your appraised to list ratio? And they'll go, 50%. And ultimately, I challenge that and I say, well, hang on, that to me feels like anecdotal information. Can I see the data? And I had one recently where, they were doing about literally 500 appraisals a month across their team.
Wow.
Funnily. They were only listing about 45 to 50 properties. So I asked them to drill in deeper. I said, guys, let's go to the last 500 listings in your market. Let's see how many we spoke to. How many are in our database? How many did we appraise? And how many did we actually have a relationship with? Because this company had a 9% market share, and I was going, just things aren't working for me. What we discovered was we were closing 50% of the A and B grade appraisals we met, but we weren't doing enough. We were talking to all the C's and D's, and when we analysed the data, we discovered we had only spoken to 20% of the property that was sold in the previous 6 months in our footprint. So 80% of the vendors
weren't even on
our radar.
List.
Hadn't spoken to them, hadn't met them at an open home, or if we had, we hadn't captured their data, and it was real focus. It was like, okay, that is a nut. We need more A's and B's, less C's and D's. Less price checks, less tire kickers, and more focus on people that are going to market.
So therefore then you could uncover, well, what are the things that we're going to put time, energy and money behind?
Correct. So we ended up doing a couple of things. We did better training around prospecting, better marketing tools, both in advertising and in the letterbox.
Yeah. There's a prime example of where we said, so the fundamentals were that he went in and asked the right questions. What is it they want to do? How is it they want to achieve it? Then he drilled down within that. So going forward, how do you see, we talked about disruption, distraction, some of the social side of things. You've obviously had a great deal of experience in the print side of it as well, but you've also been behind like some big agencies that have had like 6,000 properties, some other ones that have had, where they've had agents that are running, property management 100 and you've increased it to nearly 200 plus at each one through the systems you've put in place.
Yep.
So all of those different things going forward, I'm going to throw a question at you. Do you think it's
I was wondering if there was a question here.
Yeah, it's the big are going to get bigger and the small are going to either get boutique or get out?
No, see, I think the boutique are going to win. I reckon the big are going to die. I think our marketplace and
Why?
I think people want to be treated like people.
Yep.
They want high quality service, not just lip service. They want you to care about them. They want you to know that they've got kids. They want you to know that schools matter. So I think hyper local, hyper community engaged, great quality advice,
Yep.
and humanity. I actually give a damn.
So the corner store stuff coming back.
I think it's coming back. I really do.
Good.
I think the one area, and I've touched on it before, I think property management's going to get huge.
Yep.
I think any rent rolls sub 1,000 are going to be a thing of the past. Sorry to say it. I think 3 to 5 years from now, a lot of things are going to change. I think the way we value rent rolls is going to change. I think they're going to be valued on EBIT, not on gross revenue. And that's
very controversial.
That's a big tip,
fine.
guys. Let me tell you. EBIT's crucial.
Yep. But mind you, EBIT's crucial now for what they take home in their pocket. It's not a matter of just what you sell it for at the end. As far as if you retire, what are you doing day to day? What are you pulling out of the business?
Look, for a lot of principals, and I would say this because some of you are principals, it's about building a nest egg. It's about building equity and asset value. And if you're anything like me, if you've got cash in the bank, you spend it. You go for a trip, you buy your wife some jewelry, you buy a new car. The cool thing about building a property management rent roll is you got an asset, it's leveraged, you got to make payments on it. It's kind of forced saving that builds an equity asset. But I think if ever disruption's coming, it's coming in that space. It's offshoring, it's process procedures, it's technology, and I think the way value is placed against those businesses is not going to be a 3 or 4 times multiple of gross revenue. It's going to be a 3 to 5 times multiple of EBIT. And big difference. Big difference. It's going to devalue a lot of rent rolls by 60, 70%.
You spoken before about how, systems wise and some of those mundane, everyday sort of things that potentially you would offshore, but then are you going to have the property managers that are running bigger portfolios themselves, but they're connected more with the actual landlords?
Okay. This is probably a video on itself.
Okay.
But,
sorry, I jumped across.
I'd love to do it one day. All I would say to you is there are some really high value tasks in any property management rent roll, and client relationship management is fundamental. So the people that are earning $80,000, $70,000, your PMs are managing 120, 140, 150 portfolios, they're high value. The people that are performing inspections, leasing, even maintenance management, periodic inspections, they're pretty low value tasks. A lot of that can be given to lower cost employees, trainees, people like that, and a lot of it can go offshore. But that is a skill set in and of itself.
You covered that really well, and I did throw that on you a bit. So but from that perspective, I think that really what we wanted to say today is that some key things behind what Barney is saying is that you really fundamentally, you're not looking at the shiny toys, that you're looking at what the fundamentals are, understanding what that is, understanding where you want to go, potentially getting someone like Barney or someone that's a coach in that space to assist you, because sometimes you just don't know what you don't know. Hey, thank you very much. There was so much in what Barney had to say today. We could have run it for twice as long. We tried to keep it, to short, sharp, but that didn't work. Barney's got so much that he can potentially help with. If you want to reach out to him via his LinkedIn profile, send him a message, ask him any questions, he's happy to help. It's Dean from Real Estate Dynamics with Barney. Thanks for your time today.